pay attention to space here. Is space here, right? Just please pay attention, and all the objects in it, including humans. Just pay attention, yeah. Like a newborn baby, no thinking. Is space and objects in it. And then just pay attention to silence. Sound comes out of silence and goes back in it. Pay attention to my sound, comes out of silence and goes back in it. Comes out of silence, goes back in it. Comes out of silence, goes back in it. And also pay attention to stillness, always here. All movements take place in stillness. Watch my hand, moving in stillness. Pay attention, it's moving in the ocean of stillness. So, space, all the objects in it, silence, sound comes out of it, goes back in it, and stillness, all movements in it. This is the real now. It's in front of you, it's inside you. This is the whole universe. What else is there? Right? There is space, all objects in it, silence, all sounds in it, stillness, and all movements in it. Right? That's the universe. So this is how you live in the now. Now is not in your head. It's always in front of your eyes, inside you. But humans barely live in the real now. It's just a fact. They live in the conceptual world in their head, including conceptual now. So some people say, how can I live in the now? My now is so bad. I don't have a job, or somebody is ill. I don't like what's happening on the TV, this and that. So that's the virtual now. It's not real. There's big confusion there. And there's no need to improve the now. Some people say, I'm trying to improve my now. It's all in the head. Yeah, you're trying to make more money or trying to get rid of some stressor, and then they say, I'm improving my now. No. Now is this. It doesn't need any improvement. It simply is. So there is no need to change the world. And people say, I'm trying to change the world. It's again the conceptual world they are trying to change. The real world is right here, real now. Everything is real. And in this real now, there is never, ever any stress. That's the beauty of it. Very simple. Anyone feeling stress here? Thank you. But if you bring a TV here and you start watching presidential campaign, there will be a lot of stress, right? It's just an example. Even though that debate may be live and you may think it is now, and that's the virtual now, and that will create a lot of stress, right? Okay. So there is we could call a real world and virtual world. Real world is very simple. It's tangible. It's space and all objects in it, like mountains, trees, birds, animals, rivers, right? And then there is silence, sounds, stillness, and movements. Everything is real. And then there is the virtual conceptual world that human mind has created collectively. And the best example is what you watch on the screen, be that TV screen or your smartphone screen. An example, you're 5 years old, sitting with your dad in an airplane, going to New Delhi. So you're looking out through the window, and what are you seeing? You're gonna see some sky, some clouds, some river, some water, some buildings, right? Some roads. What you will not see is New York City. You will see buildings. You will not see France. You will see buildings. You will not see Egypt. You will see buildings. Right? Then you ask your dad, I'm seeing things over there. Come, Dad, see that. Dad will come and say, oh, and Dad will look in the inside, looking at the big screen. Oh yeah, that's Cairo. Like, what is Cairo? or that's the Paris. Dad, what is Paris, right? You could call that collection of building anything you want. It's a name, right? That name is not what it is. You could call Paris, New Delhi. Doesn't matter, right? It's the name. That name is not it. It has a functional value, right? But in real, it's just buildings. In real, it is one planet. Buildings on it, mountains, rivers, oceans, people, animals, including humans. That's what it is. And we forget that. So be a human first. And remember, this is one planet. We forget these basic things. We get so worked up and get taken over by this virtual world so much that we forget that we are humans. We get taken so much, the virtual world, in the virtual world, you are a Christian, a Muslim, a Jewish, a Hindu, and whatever religion your parents gave to you, you have a nationality, you may be a Democrat or you may be a Republican, whatnot. You may be a CPA, you may be an engineer, you may be a doctor. Yeah, all those things are fine. Those are different labels you carry in the conceptual virtual world. That's all. And it has its own functional value. But in real, you are a human. No more, no less. Same way in real, a collection of building is a collection of building. Now you can call it New York City or Chicago or New Delhi. Fine, it has functional value, right? But no more, nothing beyond that. But then we make more out of it. There's a whole history of Paris or New Delhi and London, and we get lost in that. That's the virtual world. Okay. So humans are mostly looking at objects, animals, through the filters of their own concepts. So to humans, that collection of building is not Paris. Sorry, it's not just a collection of building, it is Paris. That collection of building is not just a collection of building, that's New York City. That person is not just a human being. That person is white, black, yellow, whatnot, Mexicans, Indians. So there is something in human mind that is interpreting everything, and then it triggers emotions. Then that leads to emotional thinking. That leads to actions. That's how we interact, right? That's what we call personality, right? So maybe the same event, same person, same situations, different people react differently, right? That's what we call personality. Now that personality has huge impact on your health. I started looking into this about 10 years ago after my awakening. And I started to look at everything fresh, new. Not what I've been told, not what I had learned through medical school and through universities and whatnot. That's all fine, but I wanted to look at it myself using common sense, simple common sense logic, and look at everything myself. And boy, was I in for a big surprise. So, because I was looking at it from a neutral ground, had no agenda. And if you look at anything from that place where you don't have any agenda and you are sitting neutral emotionally, you'll be amazed what kind of intelligence flows through and how you can figure out everything. And I mean it, everything. That's the true intelligence. So all kind of things are happening. So today I'm going to share with you how this personality affects a person's health. Hi, come on in. Hi, you're welcome. We're just getting started. You didn't miss anything. So this personality, which consists of your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions, right? That's what a personality is. How does it affect somebody's health? So I started making these observations about 10 years ago. So these are my observations, which I'll share with you. And again, personality sometimes is a combination of different aspects. Some people are predominantly fearful, anxious. Some people are predominantly angry or feisty or drama queen, as we call them sometimes. And some people have a combination of these things. Sometimes they are angry and sometimes they are fearful and anxious. So I'll share with you how these different aspects of a person's personality affect his or her health. And some people have one component being a strong one, and some people have other component as a strong factor. So what happens when a person is anxious for a very, very long time? Anxiety, sometimes having panic attacks, worrying a lot. So what I've found, this kind of person or this kind of personality is at very high risk for developing autoimmune disorders, which are asthma, eczema, colitis, autoimmune thyroid disease, which is Hashimoto thyroiditis or Graves' disease, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, MS, celiac disease, gluten sensitivity, irritable bowel syndrome, type 1 diabetes, not type 2, type 1, where they need insulin injection right from day one. And there are a few more. So how does a person develop autoimmune disorder? What is autoimmune disorder? Anyone has autoimmune disorder here? Okay. So what is an autoimmune disorder? What's immune system anyway? So let's go step by step. Let's just go backward, all the way down. What is immune system? Immune system is, it consists of cells, immune cells we call them. It's there to defend you in case you develop cold, for example, or pneumonia or something like that. So now what is cold? In simple terms, imagine there's an army of virus, cold virus, that's attacking your nose and throat. Now what happened, your immune system gets charged up, it recruits its own army of immune cells, and then the battle takes place in your nose and in your throat. And we all feel it, right? Mm-hmm. Usually we win, right? Okay. After the battle is over, then the immune cells are told to go back to barracks. No more war. No need to be hyped up. Go back to barracks. Like from level red, we are down to level green. Okay? That's what happens normally. But what happens when a person worries a lot. Now, worrying is usually the thinking goes like this: what if, right? What if this happened? What will I do? What may happen? What if? And the DVD just goes on. Then I'll do this, but that may not work. Then what if? What if that doesn't work? Then what will I do, right? The DVD goes on. What if, what may, what not? That creates, if you look at that, that creates threat. It's a threat for the body. Although it is virtual, it's not real at this time. So the virus was real threat, but this what if case scenarios are virtual threat, right? It's all in your head. You're projecting thoughts. That's all. All kind of worrying thoughts are roaming around, no more, right? It's creating a virtual threat. And immune cells react to that as if it is real. Because if mind is saying there is something is just not right, there is something bad is happening in the head. So immune cell react to that. It's like, okay. So it recruits its army of immune cells. But now there is no enemy. There is no virus to fight. So what does it do? These hyped up immune cells, they start attacking your own cells. That's why we call it autoimmune. So if these charged up immune cells, they attack your thyroid, we call it Hashimoto thyroiditis or Graves' disease, depending upon what kind of antibodies they produce. If they attack your insulin-producing cell, we call it type 1 diabetes. They knock off your insulin production, and then you need insulin for the rest of your body, for the rest of your life, in order to function. Same way, these immune cells, charged up immune cells, can attack your intestines, colon, we call it colitis. They can attack your skin, we call it eczema. They can attack your lungs, we call it asthma. So it all depends, where they attack. And if you develop one autoimmune disorder, if you don't take care of it, you're at high risk of developing other autoimmune disorders. Make sense? Those charged up immune cells, wherever they attack, you're going to have a manifestation. But what medicines do, they take care of the symptom. They don't do anything for the autoimmune disorder. So you may have control of your eczema, but down the line you may develop Hashimoto thyroiditis. And again, usual medical treatment doesn't touch autoimmune disorder. So down the line you may develop type 1 diabetes, or you may develop colitis, or you may develop lupus. So with all the modern medicine, we don't treat autoimmune dysfunction. We just treat the symptom, which is being caused from the organ dysfunction. That's all. So, actually that person who worries a lot, once he or she develops any of these diseases, then they worry more, obviously. Now there's more reason to worry. And then they read about all this long list of autoimmune dysfunction, and then they worry, am I going to develop lupus, am I going to develop MS, and then what will happen, and then what, that drama just goes on in the head, a bigger DVD. There's no ending to that. And especially if you are computer savvy and you go on the internet, boy, now there's a never-ending list of what may happen to you. And so that person's actually, what happened, that autoimmune disorder gets in high gear. Those charged up immune cells, they get more charged up. There is some kind of threat. And we need to take care of it. So in my office practice, I see a lot of patients with autoimmune disorder. And my usual question to them is, so for how long you been worrying? And they look at my face. How do you know? It has become that apparent now. Usual answer is, I've been worrying most of my life. Yes. And it usually starts in the childhood or teenage, and they just excessively worrying. And here's the thing. Usually, now I'm not making political statements here. So it's just simple observations. Usually, women, in general, they worry more compared to men. And that's why autoimmune disorder happen a whole lot more frequently in women than in men. The ratio is about 6 to 1. It's 6 times more prevalent in women than in men. Okay. So that's one type of personality. Let's move on. What do men do in general? In general, men are more feisty. And they get annoyed and they get angry real easy. Not every man, in general. So a person who is in this mode of being angry or short-tempered, temperamental, feisty, there are different degrees of the same emotion. Call it feisty, which is a mild form, then a little more severe form, temperamental, short-tempered, and a little more severe form, angry, right? A little more severe form, hateful. These are pretty much the same emotion. The underlying emotion really is anger. We'll just call it anger, just for the sake of simplicity, okay? So what does that anger do? It's highly prevalent, by the way. Examples will be like, and usually happen in people who are success-oriented. In general, we call it type A personality. Highly successful people, but at the same time, they are driven by the concept of success. And they also know how to play the game. And that's why they easily get angry over someone else. Because because they have learned that by playing that game, by being, if I may use the word bully in a soft manner, they can get their way. So you are making a deal, a business deal with someone else, and if you are just a very easygoing person, you may not get your way. But if you are a more aggressive person, chances are you will get your way. You don't get your, for example, you go to a hotel and at the reception you don't get all the protocol that you are supposed to, and you have also developed this ego that I have such a successful person, and that receptionist should behave in a certain way, and if she doesn't, you get all annoyed, and you may even throw a tantrum right there. Don't you know who I am? You may not say it out loud, but in head you're like, I am such an important person. So there are many forms of anger. Then there's another kind of person that get angry because their expectations aren't met. It may not be a very successful business person, It may be, a housewife who has huge expectations from her husband, and her husband doesn't come through. So she gets annoyed, and she gets angry. Yeah. Same thing, with husband. If expectations aren't met, he will get annoyed and angry. So expectations are one main reason why a person becomes angry or disappointed. Another one is ego, as we just observed. I'm so special, how dare you are not giving me all the proper respect. Another one is insults. Again, when you feel you have achieved something, you are an honorable person, and somebody says something to you, you feel insulted. The more you have achieved, more easily you will get insulted. And insult leads to anger. That's what it is. So even if you are not a successful business person, you still can get very angry over little things. Somebody said something to you, and then you fume on it. Somebody said something to you 10 years ago. You're still fuming on it. Somebody made an insulting remark when you were 10 years old. You're still fuming on it. Right? So, what does anger do? Anger leads to insulin resistance. It worsens that. And insulin resistance is the process in your body that leads to type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, heart attack, stroke, dementia, cancer, and polycystic ovaries. I'll repeat that again. Insulin resistance syndrome develops.
What did you say? Forget.
Insulin resistance.
Insulin resistance.
Yes.
Okay.
So anger, this kind of person who is type A personality or gets annoyed real easy, is feisty, is flamboyant, is temperamental, gets annoyed easily, is at high risk for developing manifestations of insulin resistance, and those are type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, dementia, cancer, polycystic ovaries, and gout. Pretty long list, huh? Not a good one. And so how many of us sitting here have insulin resistance manifestations? Yeah, it's highly prevalent disease. And again, you may develop high blood pressure, and modern medicine will just give you medication to treat that. They don't tell you that it is coming from insulin resistance. And by the way, personality is just one part of it. There are other aspects like obesity and lack of exercise for any disease, but today we are just focusing on personality, okay? Which plays a major role, a big role. So, yeah, they don't tell you that it's coming from insulin resistance, just like we observed with autoimmune dysfunction. They don't tell you or cannot or do not know how to treat autoimmune dysfunction. Same way, they won't tell you anything about insulin resistance. They'll say, oh, you have high blood pressure, we're going to give you this medication, it will take care of it. And it does. With medication, your blood pressure is fine, and you think, I'm doing fine. Till one day, you end up in the ER with a heart attack. Then they will put some stents and will send you home. Oh, everything is fine now. Okay. Till one day you find out your blood sugar is 300. Oh, you have diabetes now. We're going to give you medicine. These are manifestations of the same disease. if you don't treat that disease, the root cause, you will continue to have various manifestations of it. I'll share this story with you, how bad this anger can be. Back in 1988, I was a resident back then, and I was on call. And that day was the Game 7 of NBA between Detroit Pistons and LA Lakers. And back then I was in Detroit, and I was a big fan of Pistons. And that was the first time that Pistons had gone into finals. The whole city was just, in excitement. And Game 7 of NBA, it was like they could really sense victory. And so I was on call, and I had like 5, 6 junior physicians under me. So we all decided that we're going to finish all the work as soon as we can. And for 3 hours, I told them, you can turn your pagers off. I'll just keep mine on, and we'll watch the game. And we did that. And so we are sitting in this room, our call room, and watching the game. And Pistons were winning until the last 5 seconds. You can imagine the excitement. I still remember we were not sitting in the chairs anymore. We were like right there next to the screen and screaming and all that. We thought it's just game. We just won. Till there was a player, NBA people, basketball lovers probably remember the name, Dennis Rodman. Okay, the famous guy. He was with Pistons at that time, and he committed foul on Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He couldn't pick anyone else. Now, Kareem was known for his free throw, almost 90%, and his sky hook, So those were 2 great things he had. So this Kareem Abdul-Jabbar just comes on the line, and he just throws one, and bloop, throws another one, and Lakers won. So you can imagine the amount of anger we all had on Dennis Rodman. We were literally just calling him names, and we were so angry. And as we are doing this, my beeper went off. And I'm like, okay, what's happening? The call was from CCU, cardiac care unit. A patient was watching the game and had a heart attack right in front of our eyes on the screen. So this is the effect of anger on your heart. Especially if it is already a bit weak. So in a 20 years old, it may not manifest. But in a 60 years old, it can cause a heart attack. And if you already have established coronary artery disease, you are 60, 70, 80 years old, this kind of acute anger or acute excitement may precipitate acute heart attack. Because this was a combination of excitement and anger. So what happened with that is, you have huge amount of adrenaline rushing through your blood. And that adrenaline is in acute amount, large dose, it can precipitate acute heart attack. Okay? On a more chronic basis, like people have, this is more dramatic, and there are cases, all well documented, how people get angry over something and they end up in the ER. That generally people know, but what people may not know, that on a chronic basis, these mild annoyances, irritations, frustrations, they increase your adrenaline as well as cortisol. And these 2 hormones in the body, they increase your blood sugar, they increase your blood pressure, and on a chronic basis, they are gradually chipping away your memory. So when you develop dementia at the age of 80, it doesn't develop overnight. The process is going on for years and years and years. Each time you become angry, remember is chipping away your memory. You may not feel it, or you may feel it sometime. When you're really angry, you forget where you put your keys. People even forget what they said. Observe it yourself. If you are angry, usually you won't remember exactly what you said or what you did. And some people are genuinely sorry later on what they said or what they did. But just being sorry doesn't take care of the problem, because it's going to happen again. And so this is what this kind of person, which actually most of the people these days are. If things don't go their way, they get annoyed, they get angry, and they don't realize that in that moment they are increasing their blood sugar, raising their blood pressure, increasing the risk of having heart attack, and chipping away their memory. So there is another kind of personality who loves entertainment, is hooked on the TV or internet. In a more severe form, they seek thrills and excitement. So they go to Las Vegas a lot. In a more severe form, they may be doing sky jumping or things like the bungee jumping. So real thrill seekers. So what does that do? Many people are in the mild to moderate form, where they are seeking thrill and excitement in the name of having fun. So there is a wonderful sugar-coated word, oh, we are just having fun of our life. And so deep down what that fun really is thrill and excitement, right? And what that thrill and excitement does, it again increases your adrenaline level. And that adrenaline increases your risk for having heart disease, high blood pressure, heart attack, high blood sugars. And this is so common, people don't think it as something negative. It's considered good thing. I'm just being happy. People travel hundreds of thousands of miles to be happy, right? All the partying to be happy. There's all this music, which will usually, the music that will thrill you up is that very jittery music that will resonate with your jitteriness inside, and you are having fun now. And the loud music. Or even just watching this drama, for example, all kind of things on the TV. They are there to provide you. LAPD used to be there, New York, NYPD, and Chicago PD, all those, car races, and there used to be that Cops, I think there was a show when I used to watch in my old days. So all those things, now imagine how long you sit in front of TV or nowadays on your computer screen and watching these kind of shows. And those are providing you with thrill and excitement, right? And it's affecting your health. It's absolutely affecting your health. that high level of adrenaline and not good. Hello. Hey, you made it.
I made it.
All right, traffic was bad, huh? All right, I'm glad you did. Very good. Welcome here. Sure. So we are talking about how personality affects your health. Okay?
The election's causing a lot of that now.
Yes.
A lot of anger and stress.
Yes. And we'll come to that. The event is maybe the same, but different personality react to that differently. Now, you see that all the time. For example, now you brought it up, election. Now, there are some who are so hooked on that, and they are so much into election as such. My candidate has to win, and what if the other candidate wins that I don't like? So it does two things. One, if a personality is the one who worries a lot, that we observed already, it will trigger a huge amount of worrying. Even if that person is going to look through those, what do you call, who is 2 points ahead and 5 points behind, all those things, polls. So if your candidate is behind, 4 points, then you're going to start having panic attacks. Some people, but not all. Then there'll be another one who's like, instead of having panic attack, will become angry. Okay? So it depends what kind of personality you have. It's the same event, but some people getting angry and some people getting scared. You got that? So event is the same, but how you are reacting to that is so different. And there are very few people who don't watch it, like, what the heck, I'm just going to go and cast my vote, that's all. And then they are neither anxious nor angry. Very few. Those are in the minority. But you're right, majority is, it seems as if the election is doing it to you, but in fact, you are doing it to yourself. It's just personality who is doing it to you. But we blame it on the event outside. Okay? And we'll come to that in a minute. Why so? Why so? Why do we blame the external events to be the culprit? We call them stressors. Right? We always blame stressors to be the cause of our stress. Okay? Whereas the one who gets stressed out is you, right? So the real source of stress is inside you, not out there. Because it may not be just now it is the election. Once that is over, you'll find another reason to be fearful or to be agitated about. It could be as simple as driving on 405. It's like, there's a bad driver there, That's the reason I'm getting late. Okay? I've seen people literally behind my car as if they're going to run through my car. It's like, there's nothing I can do with this car in front of me, but they're so close to my back. And I've seen, from a distance too, it's like, dude, you cannot run through that car. But they are just like, and so it just shows the amount of adrenaline rush. And that brings up another kind of personality who is always rushed. And most of us, we have that component in us, and some have more, some have less. To be on time. And to be on time, often you are in a rush. Right? especially when there are these factors out of your control. You have to be on time at the airport or you will miss your flight, right? And then you didn't know, and on the freeway there's an accident, and now it's just going, bumper to bumper traffic, and there's nothing you can do. But your mind is not on the freeway. Your mind is at the airport, missing the flight. And that's triggering that fear of losing the flight. Now that's triggering all that adrenaline, fear. And whenever you are fearful, you have huge amount of adrenaline and cortisol. And that's what increases your blood pressure, your blood sugar, increases your risk for having heart attack. So you may arrive at LAX with high blood pressure, high blood sugar, all hyped up. And if any little thing goes wrong there, you just had it, you're going to scream at that person, right? And if that happened to be a TSA person, probably will throw you in jail. So the whole drama, you can sense that at the airport, the intensity of it. Everyone is so much, I just call it high adrenaline state. And even when they are there, there's a big line for security, and they're still, am I going to miss my flight? So the mind is there. The concept is just recurring thought, am I going to miss my flight? And with that, for a good couple of hours, they stay in this high adrenaline state, which causes their blood sugar to go up, their blood pressure to go up. So I see that in my patients a lot. Those who travel a lot, usually their blood sugars are pretty high, and they observe it during their trips. Their blood sugars go high. And some of them who have become very observant about it, they clearly see it, that their blood sugars is doing fine here. My type 2 diabetic patients, their blood sugars are fine here. And recently, and this gentleman went to Boston, and in 1 week, blood sugars just went through the roof. I think, and we shared that, part of that was this whole drama at the airport. It's at every airport. Not only at the airport, getting to the airport is a big drama. So the freeway drama, then drama at the airport, and then you go to, after you have checked through TSA and all that, now there's time to eat, right? Finally you settle down, okay, now let me find some food, because you skipped your lunch or dinner, whatnot. And the kind of food you get at the airport is pretty bad food, very simple, okay? And you're not going to get anything in the airplane, so you're going to get something at the airport. And especially my diabetics, because there it shows up. If you are 16 years old, you can handle that burger, you can handle that fast food. But you are a 60 years old type 2 diabetics, and you get that bad food at the airport, yeah, your blood sugar is going to go up. It will show. So along those lines, there was a gentleman who is not here today, but generally he does come. Type 2 diabetes. We're talking, we've been seeing him for many years. So I've been talking to him about effect of stress on blood sugars, which you would kind of agree, but didn't take it too seriously. Till one day he went to his homeland, somewhere in the Middle East. And he forgot his iPhone here. Very successful businessman. That type A personality we talked, that develops type 2 diabetes. And there he was in a village where his brother lived. And he was there for about 2 weeks without his iPhone. And he said he didn't even follow the diet. He was eating grapes because there was vineyard. And according to him, he was amazed. He said his blood sugars were really good. They had never been as good. So he was so amazed himself. And so when he came back, as soon as I got in the exam room, he stood up. He said, Dr. Zaidi, what you've been telling me all along is really true. And then he told me this whole story. Now, this is the first time his blood sugars got better. And then he come back here. Within a week, his blood sugar go up again. Okay? So, and he's more careful here with his diet. So that's the impact of stress on your blood sugar. And again, that personality, we already discussed that it's typical type A personality who is very much busy, egocentric, get annoyed real easy, chasing success, always in a rush. Now, the successful people, they usually don't rest. They're always mentally or physically getting somewhere else. The other day, there was a gentleman, he told me that he has achieved so much in his life, and now he's type 2 diabetic. He said, I've made so much money, and now I'm so bored and so worried that I'm going to end up losing my legs. Bad diabetes. So remember, these things don't develop overnight. So I asked him, we went through this, most of his young life, for about 20, 30 years, he's been chasing dreams, and he has done wonderful. But in chasing those dreams, there's huge amount of adrenaline and cortisol that he has produced. And with that, now he has developed what we call diabetes. The process of insulin resistance has been going on for years and years. And now his blood sugars are very high, and now he's scared. And again, that fear doesn't help either, because that also increases your blood sugar. So who develops cancer?
Good question.
Yeah. We don't know the exact cause, right? Here's my observation. In addition to other factors, there are many factors that interact for someone to have cancer. So when it comes to personality, I find the same kind of personality who is very much independent. Now look at cancer itself. Imagine cancer cell. What is cancer? Normally, every cell in the body is connected to every other cell in the body. That's how body is. There is this connectedness. It's listening to other cells, and it's giving them information. It's a two-way traffic. So they are talking to each other all the time. And but a cancer cell doesn't listen to anyone. Is independent, autonomous. I'm on my own. I know everything, and I'm not going to listen to you. And I've seen that pattern in the patients who have any kind of cancer. They are in this mindset that I'm not going to listen to you. And it's a continuous thing. It could be with their spouse, it's an ongoing thing, or with their workers. It could be a teacher constantly fighting with principal. It could be principal constantly fighting with parents and teachers, that I know it all and I'm not going to listen to you. And with that, they also trigger a lot of anger inside. And that anger puts insulin resistance into high gear, which causes high level of insulin, which promotes growth of cancer cells. So this kind of person is usually very independent or seeking independent. They're very much concerned about my space. Don't come in it or I'm going to kill you. That's how cancer cells are. Don't come around here. Okay? And we are independent and don't listen to anyone. And also because they don't listen to anyone, the others don't listen to them. So then that leads to friction. And that leads to this ongoing annoyance, anger, irritation, that worsens insulin resistance, high level of insulin, causing increased growth of cancer cells. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yeah.
What do you think about environmental, what I want?
Environmental factors, yeah,
Yes.
definitely play a role. But basically what I'm focusing here is personality, how personality focuses. So for any illness to develop, this is how it goes. There's some genetic predisposition. Okay? Then that genetic predisposition makes you at relatively higher risk compared to other people to develop any disease, any particular disease. For example, if you have a family history where your brother or sister, somebody had some kind of autoimmune disorder, which could be like somebody had asthma or eczema, that puts you at relatively high risk of developing autoimmune disorder. But you are not going to develop it automatically. Then there are lifestyle factors that come into play. Now those lifestyle factors are personality, environmental factors, which are all kind of foods what we eat, all the toxins in the atmosphere, pollutions in general, the list goes on and on, all these things, and food plays a major role. And then exercise, how much you do, how much you don't do. So those are all various factors, and they all interplay, and here is your disease. But when it comes to personality, that's where I'm focusing today. And by no means it's just the personality that is doing it, it's all the other factors. And personality actually plays a major role because it also, the second major factor is our eating habits. People who have, in general, people who have insulin resistance, they also are overweight. Okay? Now, personality plays a major role in your eating habits, isn't it?
Mm.
Now, there may be a personality, and I've heard that over time, that a diabetic patient will eat, this gentleman, whatever his wife puts at dinner table. And he said, some of them are not healthy foods, I know that, but I don't want to insult her cooking. As simple as that. He said it. A 70 plus years old man. So personality, a major role.
Mm.
Same way, now look how often we eat, in general, personality, where we really shouldn't be eating, or the kind of food we eat that we really shouldn't be eating. Okay. What takes over? Personality. For example, one person may get really drunk at a party and the other person doesn't. What's the difference? Alcohol is available. One person drinks just 1 or 2 drinks and stops it. the other person cannot stop it.
Alcoholic.
We just call it alcoholic, but it's the personality. That person has a need to numb emotional pain. One. Or that person is into what we call seeking thrill and excitement. That it has to just overdo it. So those are addictive personalities. But what those are basically, they are seeking thrill and excitement, and or they are running away from deep-seated emotional pain. So personality again affects our eating habits big time. I mean, same buffet, somebody is cleaning up the whole table, somebody is just being reasonable. What's the difference? Personality. One person is eating it, because he's hungry. The other person is eating it for psychological reason. And we do that psychological eating so much. Okay? Now, few words, where does this personality come from? How are we on time?
Good question.
12:30.
12:30. Okay. So the personality, just I'll briefly touch on that. We are born with this. So the general impression is that's who I am. Personality, that's who I am. No, that's not who you are. You were not born with that personality. We acquire it as we grow up in a society. No one is a born addict, for example. No one is. So at birth, once a child's or baby's basic physical needs are met, which is a clean diaper, a warm blankie, and a full stomach, that's all. Very basic needs. That baby is joyful from within, right? That baby is not going for seconds. Doesn't say, oh, Mom, your milk is really good. I'm going to go for second and third and whatnot. Let me clean it out. Once stomach is full, is full. And actually, I've observed that in my early days, I was in charge of a well baby nursery back about 30 years ago. So some mothers will try to force more milk into the baby. Baby will regurgitate. Once it is full, it is full. That's it. So it's eating purely for physiological reasons, not for psychological reasons. Okay? And again, that baby, look at that. You can feed anything to that baby. As long as it agrees with the stomach, baby doesn't care. It could be formula, it could be breast milk, cow's milk, goat milk. As long as it agrees with the stomach, baby is fine. But as a grown-up, how selective we are about what we eat. Oh, I don't like Thai food. I love Indian food. I like Italian. I don't like this. I like this. That continuously we're going like and dislike, which does not exist at birth. There's no liking or disliking. It's just eating to satisfy its hunger. That's all. That baby is not worried at all. Why? Or angry? Not at all. Because this worrying and anger, it comes from thinking, right? Babies don't think. Why do I say that? It's a big statement I'm making. Newborn babies, they don't think. Why? What's the evidence I have? Because right now, all of us, we are thinking in English, not in Japanese, right? Because we don't know Japanese. Very simple, right? So we think in the language that we know. In order to think, we need a language. So at birth, no language, no thinking, no stress. Very simple. And no personality. Right? As we grow up in a society, we learn language. With language, we acquire what I call acquired self. That acquired self is your personality. And that controls your thoughts, it controls your emotions, and it controls your actions. That is personality. And we remain stuck in that personality, thinking that's who we are. No, we are not that in real, because we were not born with this. So this acquired self, we acquire as if when we grow up in a society, and it has two components. One component is non-emotional, and the other component is emotional. Now, non-emotional thinking doesn't create any stress. Like in general, you're going and following traffic rules. It doesn't create any stress. You're doing some mathematics, 2 + 2 = 4, doesn't create any stress. In my office, I'm helping my patients, making a living, no stress. So there is that non-emotional thinking, which is very functional. It helps you to function in the society without any stress. And then there's emotional thinking, emotional component of that personality. That creates huge amount of stress for you and for others around you. And that emotional stress wreaks havoc on your body, on your immune system, it worsens your insulin resistance, increases your risk of having all kind of autoimmune disorders if you worry a lot, or if you are in the other component of your personality where you are in a rush, in a race. That's how you become competitive. That's how you win the game. In order to make a lot of money, you have to win the game, and you have to be very competitive in general. You can do without it actually, but most people are very competitive, and in that competition, they increases a lot of adrenaline, a lot of cortisol, creating emotional stress for themselves, and increasing their odds of having high blood pressure, diabetes, heart attack, stroke, and dementia. So it's all up to you. You are in charge here. You are not helpless. That's the take-home message from here actually, that the general concept is, oh, it's my personality, there's nothing I can do about it. Stress is part of living in this world, there's nothing I can do about it. No, not true. You are in charge here. Real you. Get in the driver's seat, and real you is always aware of the real now, here in front of your eyes. It's not emotional. Is not thinking. Real you is just this pure awareness of everything. So that real you, in most cases, unfortunately, gets attached to your acquired self. As if this is your acquired self, this is real you, it gets stuck. And that's when you think that acquired self is you. So you start believing in your name to be you. Now, no one is born and announces, hey, meet David, right? So it's interesting, whenever I tell, sometime in my practice, when I look at somebody's name and I tell them you are not David, you should see a look on their face. How dare you say that? Totally perplexed. What is he talking? And so that's how much we forget. Yes, that's simply a name, that's all, not you. So that's one example how this acquired self gets all of your attention and seeks your identity, steals your identity right here. As if this is your true self, this is your acquired self, bonded together. And that way, now acquired self is in the driver's seat, calling all the shots. That acquired self is your personality. Okay? It's controlling your thoughts, emotions, actions, and you feel helpless because this is in charge here. So the main step is separate yourself from this acquired self. You are not it. You are not your name, you are not your profession, you are not your religion, you are not your nationality. You are not whatever you can think of. Anything you can think of is not you in real. Because thinking arises a year or 2 years after you were born, and you were real. Right? So at birth, you had no thinking and you were real. So thinking can never define who you are. Because thinking it happens way later. And it takes you into the virtual world. It creates this virtual personality. So real you, one, can never be described. You can never think about it. Therefore, whatever you can think of is your acquired self, not real you. So first and most foremost, I think the real defining thing is to separate yourself from your acquired self. That's it. The moment you do that, this acquired self is not controlling your thoughts, your emotions, your actions. It weakens right there. So it's not in the driver's seat anymore. Then you get in the driver's seat. You choose to eat certain food or not eat certain food. Now you are not eating it for psychological reasons or to please somebody or to get rid of some emotional pains from the past. No, you are eating it because you are hungry. If you are not hungry, you don't eat. So once you are free of this acquired self, this is what I call freedom. You have freed yourself from the acquired self. Then you use acquired self to function in the society. And when it is not needed, you put it to rest. For example, you were at work and you were using your acquired self to function, to do whatever you do in your business, in your job, whatever. And now you came home and you're off, nothing to do. Now put this to rest. But we don't do that. We turn the TV on. We are still attached to it, right? So you can choose not to turn that TV on or internet screen on. You can choose to be like that newborn baby, totally in the now. What you see, hear, smell, taste, and touch. So I have a phrase you may want to remember: keep your mind where your body is. Okay? So you're sitting in your backyard, stay there. Without thinking, like a newborn baby. That's the important thing. Because you're in your backyard and you see the sunset and you just go crazy over it. It's so beautiful, better than what we saw in Maui last week. So let's take a picture of it. Now you're totally in the grip of it. That newborn baby doesn't think, doesn't go like this. It's like, oh yeah, that's it, okay? That sunset is not everything. There's space, there's stillness, everything. It's not interpreting that sunset. It simply is another thing there, that's all. So, when that acquired self is not needed, put it to rest. Use that acquired self as a non-emotional thinking. And now you are in charge, in control, so to say, in the driver's seat. And life becomes very easy, very simple. And your body loves it. That's how our body is supposed to be, like how we are born. That's the law of nature. That's how body was supposed to be. Living in peace, inner peace, joy, not happiness, that joy of living, joy of life. There's energy flowing through your body. That's the joy. You feel that. Pay attention. Take attention into your chest. You'll feel that. There's an inner joy. There's an inner peace. And when you are in touch with that, that's what body loves. It doesn't like emotional drama. It likes that inner peace, contentment, inner peace, joy. That's the true human nature, and that's what body likes. And that's what happens when you are in the domain of your real self. So live in both the worlds. Live in the real world as much as you can, and then get in the human virtual world when you need to. And that's where automatically your acquired self will be there to help you to function. Don't worry about it. That some people get afraid, what will I do without my acquired self? No, it's always there. The key is, or the trick is, or the challenge is how to put it in place. You won't forget what you have learned. Don't worry. Some people have said that, will I be able to function as an engineer or as a doctor? You will, yes, don't worry about it. That information is always there. And the trick is to be free of it and use it without any emotions. Actually, you get better what you do. Because you may have noticed that when emotions come in, your thinking gets all clouded. It's not clear. So whatever you are doing as a doctor, as engineer, as a business person, your thinking is very clear when there are no emotions. So actually you get better whatever you do. You're living in the now, you're driving on the freeway, you know that crazy driver next to you, and you say, okay, fine, or somebody is just behind you, you get in the other lane, okay, go ahead, don't go through me. So you become fully aware of what's going on. And then you don't lose your memory as you grow older, because you're fully aware where you're putting your key, where you're putting your step, you don't fall down. So whatever you do, actually you do better. And with peace, body loves it, you function better. That's the way to live. That's how human body was designed to, but we don't. So I hope this talk, helped you guys to have a little insight into all these dysfunctions that humans are facing today. That's all, sure.
Acquired self, really, the way I look at it is emotions. It's the human emotions,
Mm-hmm.
which are, some of them are judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
The real self is pure bliss. God created bliss, the real self. So meditation is one of the avenues of separating the acquired self from the real self. What other avenues are there to separate the acquired self from the real self? How do we do that in day-to-day life on an ongoing basis? What else is there besides meditation, emptying out the mind completely and attempting to connect with the real self?
Okay, very good question. Everybody heard it. Okay. Now, there's the busy mind. And the question is, meditation helps us to become free of that busy mind, to be free of the acquired self. Acquired self is the basis of your busy mind. Okay? So, what are you doing in meditation? In most meditations, this is what you are doing. In actually every meditation, this is what you are doing. you're taking attention away from the busy mind and putting it somewhere else. That's the basis of every meditation. Okay? Now, the moment you take attention away from your thoughts, they don't exist in that moment. Okay? So, busy mind is your acquired self. So, how to be free of it? You take attention away from it. Okay? Now you have to park your attention somewhere, it's going to go right back. So, one way to park that attention, for example, is on your breathing. So, you close your eyes and you are paying full attention to your every breath going in and coming out. That's one of the common meditation. And you do that in that moment, or in those 10-15 minutes, if you do it, if you are good at it, your thinking mind stops because you have taken attention away from the thoughts. Thoughts need your attention to be alive. You take attention away from them, they don't exist. Once those thoughts don't exist, all of their consequences go away for 10-15 minutes. And you feel that inner bliss. And if you can pay attention here, so another extension of the same breathing meditation is that you take attention all the way through your breath into your chest. And then you feel that spaciousness here. You feel that inner peace for about 10 to 15 minutes. Okay? And that's fine, that's wonderful. Now your question is, how can I do that while pursuing my daily life? This is what you do. What we already said. Keep your attention in the now, which is in front of your eyes all the time. You don't have to close your eyes. The moment your attention is 100% in the real now, those thoughts do not exist. So, you live in the real now. You don't have to close your eyes. And the moment you are 100% in the real now, you are meditating while you are driving. You are meditating while you are walking in the park. So you can meditate as if anytime you want, anywhere you want. So the moment your attention is not with the busy mind, your attention is in the real now, you are free of your acquired self. You can do it anywhere. Number 2, wisdom helps. This kind of insight helps. This weakens your acquired self. Otherwise, your acquired self keeps getting bigger and bigger. So, once you realize that that acquired self is the one that is driving you to success, to more success and more success, then you realize that it's a goose chase. You're chasing a phantom. There's nothing in it. Then automatically you're not chasing that. Then automatically you have more time to be with yourself. Now it's hard to be in the real now and be running business and going to the airports and going on the freeways and this and that, because more and more you interact in the human world, less and less you're going to be free of it. And human world, conceptual world, is the collective acquired self. I call it the papa monster, and there's the baby monster in your head, just in order to have a connection. It's a description, no negativity attached. So, for this baby monster to be, as long as it is feeding off papa monster continuously, it's going to continue to get bigger and bigger. So if you do meditation for 10 minutes and then turn the TV on and watch that debate, it doesn't work because your baby monster is getting bigger and bigger. And I think that's happening a lot these days, that people do 10, 15 minutes of meditation or half an hour of yoga, and then they are off to their pursuit of dreams. And they are totally in the virtual world. And I've seen some people, they say that I did all transcendental meditation and I did this and I did that and nothing worked for me. And it doesn't in the long run if you don't have this insight. And it can work if you have the insight. So by itself, it just gives you 10, 15 minutes of relief. That's all. But if you're going to just come back full blown, full speed into the virtual world, it's not going to work in the long run. So it's extremely important to be aware of this virtual world in your head, virtual world humans have created. And the moment you see it, it is virtual, you are free of it. You're not serious about it.
How do you get, like he asked the question, how do you get rid of it? Because it keeps on coming back.
Yes.
Because that is the reality that you have created
Yes.
for all these years.
Yes.
For 60 years, 70 years.
Yes.
How do you just get rid of it?
Okay. One, you never get rid of it.
Okay.
Okay. That's not the idea. The idea is it's there to serve you as a tool to function in the society. So no negativity. You don't get rid of it. In that mindset, it gets stronger. You develop negative attachment to it. No. What you do is, and you don't go after it, trying to kill it. No. You simply realize that you acquired it as you grew up in this civilized world. As simple as that. Without that, you couldn't live in the civilized world. So you use it as a tool, but you realize there's all this wisdom I'm talking, you realize there's a non-emotional component that is very functional, and there's an emotional component that is very dysfunctional. Okay? So you utilize the non-emotional aspect of it. And when you start feeling that you are hating that person on the TV screen, you realize that your acquired self has taken you over. That realization is enough. The moment you realize it has taken you over, you are really free of it. You realize that thing has taken you over, and then you shift your attention into the now. You walk outside, turn the screen off, whatever, and be in the real now. The moment your attention is away from your thoughts, your busy mind, it doesn't exist. It dies out automatically. So your thing is not going after it, but pulling the plug out. Just taking your attention away from it. That's all. That's all. Because being stuck there, you're feeling chest pain, you're feeling uneasiness, you're not feeling good, you're feeling anger, you're feeling fear. Isn't that enough to be away from it? Okay? So all you do is take your attention away from it and put it in the real now, in front of your eyes. Use your 5 senses, and right away you are in the real now. Now, it may be that you will be in the real now for a minute or two, and then something else will come up and grab your attention, because that's how you have lived 60, 70 years of your life. Yes. But
multitasking.
but this is what you do. You keep shifting this. And that wisdom is extremely important. So 2 things happen. With that, you have more and more time to yourself. Okay? And less time you spend in the virtual world. Right there, that is very helpful. 2, you are, once you start feeling this joy of life running through your body is just so wonderful, such a great feeling. And you feel that peace and contentment. And you also know through wisdom again that all that millions of dollars is virtual. Is worth nothing really. All you need is your basic necessities have to be met. That's all. So that wisdom is very important. So what that wisdom does, it lessens your interaction in the virtual world. Then you have more and more time to be yourself. Then you can practice, put it into practice to be in the real now. And more you do, the easier it gets. That's all. So don't make a goal that one day you will achieve this. No, that's the activity of the acquired self. It just keep shifting your attention in the now. And when your acquired self grabs it again, no big deal. You bring it back. Very simple. That's all. Somebody has a question? Yeah.
Throughout the day, you encounter people. That's what I'm trying to figure here. And they bring their emotions when they come to you with many things. But what you're saying is you can still keep a detachment, yes, and awareness, be present to everyone, but not let your emotions get involved with whatever they're bringing to you. You can keep a distance, like with your heart, I'd say. You can be present to them. You can be in the situation no matter what comes at you. That you can try and keep yourself at peace. Their emotions are all going all over the place.
Yes.
And they probably just want an ear. Just, you know.
You stay neutral.
Yes. Yeah.
Neutral ground is the most important thing.
Yeah.
You are neither for it nor against it. You are neither friend nor enemy. Okay? They are generally looking for a compassionate, friendly ear. If you do that, you are in trouble. That's your acquired self. Okay? So just remember, real self is neither friend nor enemy. This is a creation of human mind. You are my friend, you are my enemy. So if you want to be truly helpful to anyone, or truly wants to look at things, anything, be neutral. So that's what I started doing 10 years ago, sitting at a neutral ground with the absence of my acquired self, emotional acquired self. I utilize my functional, non-emotional acquired self, thinking, to look into things. So I've developed my own approach, how to treat thyroid disorder, how to treat diabetes, and how to treat insulin resistance syndrome. All those things I developed on my own, only because I was sitting at a neutral ground. And there was no agenda. Because that acquired self always creates some agenda. It has a mission. It has some goal. That's what I mean by agenda. No, not having any of those. Like many, many years ago, I developed a website just to help patients, just to spread information out there. There was no agenda, no nothing, okay, no goal. And as it turns out, now most of my referrals are from my website. I did that without any agenda, without any mission or goal. It was just fun doing it. And now, without having any agenda, it just become a useful tool. And just an example, people come to me for advice about this, about their marital issues and all these. I have a teenage daughter and all those things, how they go on, emotional drama. And Shaukat, don't take pictures. Yeah, thank you. It's making some people not comfortable. It's okay, thank you. And
They won't be published anywhere. Don't worry.
he's my friend, so these pictures are not going anywhere. So back to how to live in this world. Basically, you are asking in this human world. and not be taken over by it. Okay? I think wisdom is the key to realize that this human virtual world is virtual, is not real. Then automatically you are not in it 100%. And I mean, most people, most of the time, they are not in the real world. That's why they are so much out of touch with joy and content and peace. They're looking for peace, going on a peace mission, whereas peace is here. Just an example. Okay? So, spend more and more time in the real world, which is always around you, in front of you, inside you. And somebody asks for some advice, then automatically once you are free of your acquired self, you're not taking sides. And right there, being friend or being enemy stops, because you're not taking sides. So from that neutral ground, you are just telling them, this is what to do. And another thing is when you are in the human virtual world, all the interactions are between two acquired selves. Like your acquired self, my acquired self, tangled, right? All interactions are basically between personalities, between acquired selves. So if somebody is insulting you or somebody is provoking you, the drama happens only if you get provoked, right? But once you are free of your acquired self, you don't get provoked. You will feel that old pattern where you will start getting provoked, but then you'll see, oh, it's my acquired self. You'll get free of it. So nobody can insult you. Nobody can provoke you. Isn't that a wonderful state to be in? But it happens automatically. There's another way where you put a wall of resistance. That's not it. It's not a wall of resistance. Or suppressing your emotions and this and that. No, it just happens automatically. And because it's the acquired self that gets insulted or gets want to dominate someone else, wants to be heard, wants to be applauded, wants to be validated. Just look how that acquired self is continuously controlling your thoughts and your emotions and your actions.
I just have one more question. What if, like, you encounter people who are always contacting you because they want validation all the time, and
Yes?
it's a constant, maybe there's a big ego there or something, it's constant, they're going through something that's
Yes.
constant.
Yes. So what you do is this. Once you are totally free of your acquired self, then you won't provide them with validation, and they'll stop calling you. Very simple. They'll keep calling you as long as they are getting their validation from you.
Good.
And the moment you stop doing that, you're not afraid of losing a friend. That's what the acquired self will do. Oh, I'll lose my friend, I'll lose my relative, I'll lose this. Now that's acquired self. But once you are not afraid of losing that relationship, you won't give validation, you won't criticize, but you won't give validation, and that person will stop calling you, will stop someone else, will call someone else who can give validation. Sorry, yeah.
The acquired self really, excuse me, really is based on your values, your beliefs, what you were taught as you were growing up. Again and again, it's reinforced and reinforced. So it's very difficult to get out of that acquired self. It's so difficult. You're asking to do something, and I agree with you. I'm not disagreeing. But it's so difficult. The older you are, we tell our children, don't do that. But it's so difficult. So just making a
Yes.
comment.
Sure. It seems difficult, and So don't make a goal out of it. Yes, it's very convoluted. It's very deep, deeply entrenched, very convoluted. But in the end, it is virtual. It's not real. So that's why sometimes I call it the monster. It seems very powerful, but it is virtual. It's not even real. It seems real, but it is not.
So
So-
we attempt in real life to separate the monster from the real self, non-judgmental.
Yes, just don't feed your acquired self, that's all. That's all. So you don't, that you can start right away. Just don't feed it anymore. For example, don't make it bigger. How about that? Okay? So that means not watching news, because each time you're watching news, it's getting bigger. It's very simple.
The guy, he watches the news. And then he curses one or the other.
Yes.
But it's real. It then acquires the real. That virtual personality becomes real.
Uh-huh.
So really, like you said, everything is getting inside.
Yes.
The adrenaline is coming and pumping
Yes.
in.
And your blood sugar is going up.
Correct.
Just remember that. So, as a starting point, just don't add to your acquired self. How about that? Okay? Which means not reading newspaper, not watching TV. Just start with that. Okay? You have a question? No, you're just scratching. Okay. How about you?
So all our relationships in the world with our loved ones and our family, our friends, they're our acquired self.
Yes.
Our acquired self is the self in relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So when we live more in the real self, what happens to our relationships? Because our relationships are, as the acquired self is a tool, our relationships are a tool to survive in the real world.
In the virtual world.
In the virtual, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
in the virtual world.
Right. True.
But we do need to survive in the virtual world.
Yes.
And we need to. So what happens to our relationships when we become so neutral, when we get into our real self, which is a very isolated self?
Okay. That's the question?
It
What
doesn't make
happens?
sense.
Okay.
And
No,
it doesn't
no,
make sense.
no. It doesn't make sense.
It does make sense. To
Okay.
some.
To someone it makes sense and good, and to some other it doesn't make sense. Okay.
So
Let's look at let's look at it deeply. So in the human virtual world, with few exceptions, most of the interactions are between acquired selves, including all relationships, which are interactions between acquired selves. That's why we love someone and we hate someone. It's those relationships. Okay? For the same reason, we love someone and one day and then a year later we hate that person and it leads to divorce. Okay? So, what happens when a person is free of his or her acquired self? That's the question. What happens to relationships? I can give you my example, otherwise it will remain theoretical. Okay. So, 10 years ago, when I had my awakening, since then, I still have my wife, I still have my child, I still have few friends. What has changed is this: my number of friends have decreased. Okay. I don't have arguments with my wife anymore. initially, because with most marital relationships, we all can agree that there's a lot of bickering that goes on. I'm right, no, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. A lot of annoyances and this and that. Since my awakening, the need to be right went away. So for a little while, she went on trying to be right, and when she realized that he doesn't want to be right, so that need went away on her part. So the bickering went away completely in the house. You can remember this, that it takes two to make a clap. One hand can't do that. So once this hand is not there, this hand cannot make a thunder. We call marital fight, or any other fight, for that example. So this is what happened. Your relationships get better because now my daughter asks me for advice, and thank God I went through this before she became teenager, or there will be a lot of thunder. So I was free, so she will come do this, and I won't fight back, so there was no thunder. And as we all know that once they get into their 20s, they come back, but that emotional drama that took place 5-10 years ago, they still remember that all their life. So thank God I didn't have any drama with her. And there were moments I could have really had serious drama. If that was my acquired self, if I was in a grip of my acquired self, there will be few instances of serious drama. But I was free of my acquired self. There was nothing from me fighting back. So she stopped way earlier than many of her friends did. And she is, wonderful. I mean, emotionally very stable girl. Because I didn't give any pushback or any fighting back, which leads to, at that age, coming from father, it can give rise to a lot of insecurity, which persists for the rest of their life. Anger, frustration, and all that. So that's what happened. So my wife is more loving to me. My child is more loving to me. This is what happened. I'm giving you a real example. In my practice, I cut down my practice by 50%. So now I practice only 4 half days instead of like 16 to 20 hours a week instead of 40 hours a week. When I told that first to my wife, that we're going to stop accepting any PPOs and I'm just going to do pretty much cash basis, and the number of patients will drop by about 50%. And she thought I've lost my mind. So that's what I mean by once you see the virtual world, I don't want to be spending 40, 50 hours working as a doctor there. I just wanted to work enough to make a living, that's all. Then I have more time in the afternoon, in the evening, to be in the real world in my backyard. So that's what I mean by wisdom, that you automatically cut down on your involvement in the virtual world. So that's what happened, and with that, the less you are involved, less challenges there are, okay? And then in your close relationship with your loved ones, once you stop fighting, they become more loving. Very interesting.
But do you become loving?
No, I'm sitting at a neutral ground.
That's it. That's
Yeah, I'm sitting at a neutral ground, and so I'm not creating any stress for them, and they become more loving. And then it spreads. They stop fighting with their friends.
This is focusing on the negative aspect of it.
And then again, the second part of the question was, when you are living in your, when you are free of your acquired self, are you isolating yourself from the rest of the world? No, absolutely not. The world that matters to me are still around me. So I'm not out there. I'm not isolated at all. Right here, you guys are here. My family is with me. My friends are with me. But I'm not seeking validation. That's what happens. I'm not seeking validation from anyone, including any one of you here.
I was going to say that earlier.
Yes.
The monster, it's your ego.
Yes, yes. And so once you are not seeking validation, then you are interacting in the human world without having any stress. So no, I'm not telling you to become a monk. Because even monks, I think some of them, they carry the acquired self with them. So it may not even work there. So all what you have to really do is, once you are free of your acquired self, you are not isolated at all. You are connecting, or at a deeper level, we are all connected, not through thoughts. So then you look at, or I look at other people just as humans, not as Republicans or Democrats or Jewish or Latinos or Muslims or this and that. All that goes away. So the connectedness in the virtual world is along the lines of your own personality, your own concepts. So it creates a collective us against them. That's the connectedness we have in the virtual world. I'm connected to the ones who are like-minded, and I'm against those who are against my belief, right? Isn't that the connectedness in the virtual world? So that goes away when you transcend that. And then you are looking at every human, every dog, cat, like life forms. Then you're not even loving to your cats or dogs, because you're not attached to them. They are another life form. That's all. That's all. I feed them, but I'm not there, if that dog is gonna follow my commands or not. I'm not there, if that dog gonna give me love or not. No, it's another life form we have in our house, and I feed him or her. Cat, we have cat too, and that's all. So life becomes very simple. I'm not seeking validation from my dog or from my cat. And so I'm neither loving them nor hating them.
I don't know how you can do that. I mean, my dog. I love my dog. And first thing, she follows me everywhere.
Yes. There you go. Yes.
She follows me everywhere.
Yes.
And I pet her and I love her.
It's your acquired self that is seeking validation. And most people these days seek validation from their pets. That's all. It's your acquired self. It's not your dog, it's a dog. That's how you look at things then. And even like I look at my wife, it's not my wife, it's a human being. That's all. So that my mind goes away. Because that's at the core of this acquired self. So, house is not my house. So my brother came one time and said, "You got a beautiful house." I said, "It is a beautiful house. I'm living in it right now." That's all. Isn't that the truth? So you start looking at things the way they are. Does that answer the question? Or no?
I think partly, yeah.
So you are connected at a deeper level.
But the fact is, yes, I understand you're connected at a deeper level, but you have certain obligations which are required self.
Yes.
When you enter into a marriage, when you have children, you have certain obligations.
Yes.
Those are part of the acquired stuff.
Yes.
You cannot get rid of those.
No, there is no need. So you minimize, you don't get rid of it. That's the question this gentleman was asking. How do we get rid of it? I said, no. You don't get rid of it. You minimize it. You realize what is important, what is not important. Okay? So I minimized it to my family and my couple of friends. That's all. Before I had huge number of friends, so you don't go on the Facebook making 1,000 friends. That's all. So you minimize it to what is necessary. Your children, grandchildren, your immediate family, your co-workers, in my case, some of my friends. So that's how you minimize it, that's all. No, you don't get rid of it, because getting rid of it, you won't be able to function in the civilized world.
That's what I was
That's it. It's a necessary tool to function in the human world. You just minimize it, that's all. Then, once you are free of your ego, for example, then you can buy a car which costs you $15,000 instead of buying a car which costs you $75,000. That's how life just gets simplified. And you don't have to work as hard. That's all. Any other questions? Okay, so shall we end it?
Yes.
Okay, so just for a couple of minutes, what we have talked, it remains useless if we don't put it into practice, okay? Very important. So let's, for the next couple of minutes, again, be aware of the real now here in front of our eyes, space, and all objects in it. So I'm looking at you guys like newborn babies look at you. There's no friend, no enemy, all humans. That's all. So that's the connectedness of a baby's looking at the world. Yes. So no one is to be afraid of. No one to be attached to. Right here. Space, all objects in it. Peace is automatically there. Be aware of space, all objects in it. Can you listen to that silence now? There's silence. Pay attention to it. And see how my sound comes out of it, goes back in it, comes out of it, goes back in it. And just to share with you right now, after being in the virtual world, the moment I did this, I felt this wave of joy running throughout my body, and it forces me to close my eyes. And that's what I call joy. It's not happiness, it's completely different quality. It's not excitement, it's pure joy, this joy of being, that's what it is. It's life energy flowing through. Yeah, listen to that, pay attention to that silence and sound in it. Sound comes back, sound comes back, but what remains there is silence. And also become aware of stillness. All movements take place in stillness. In fact, this is one. Space, silence, stillness is one. 3 ways to describe it, but basically it is one. And once you pay more and more attention to this space, silence, stillness, it becomes more and more alive for you. And that's what real God is.